welcome back to Unleashing. My video that I've been working on for the next one is kind of on a delay right now. I'm still working on it a little bit, so figured that I would talk about something else in the meantime, and this was kind of shown to me a couple weeks ago, so I figured that I'd share it, kind of like a little put-in video, but I wanted to talk about it. With all the Eclipse stuff and everything else going on that I haven't really mentioned, there really isn't too much to mention about it. Everybody's covering and paying attention, especially within the Christian community. They're all watching it and stuff, right? As you should be. I mean, it's very significant, and it's completely obvious to everybody who's watching it. The things like got a spread of 6 years, 6 months, and 6 days, or whatever. Goes over 7 Salems, 7 Ninevehs, and everything. Just interesting. I heard yesterday that where it ended on the first one is right where the Civil War started. Where it goes over is where the Civil War flag, after it was over, they buried it or whatever, and it goes right over that spot. I mean, it's marking the beginning and end of the Civil War. I can't see anything that's could be so more blunt that we're about to be judged big time here in America, right? But anyways, that's not really what I wanted to discuss, even though I know time's short and everything like that. What I wanted to talk about was Ascension Day. All right. Last year, while I was driving around and looking at some different things, something popped up, something I never really considered or knew anything about, and that is Ascension Day, the day that commemorates when Jesus last talked to the apostles and ascended, raptured himself up to heaven, right? And I was like, that's interesting. I've never even thought about that date, right? So I'm looking at it, and it's in the springtime, and you guys know when I was showing my vision back in 2014, I've mentioned it so many times, it was like a spring or early summer day, and I've said it over and over again. I believe that's exactly when the rapture is going to happen, because I was in the rapture. It wasn't a dream. It was like a vision of the future I was showing. I got to actually experience it. It was incredible, right? And I've reiterated that time and time again, but I know that the tribulation, which I've shared multiple times, will start in the fall because it ends in the fall. I was given this information basically in 2018. I mean, I already assumed it, but it was reiterated again to me when I was pulled into that dimension by God. And it was on Feast of Trumpets, and he told me that Feast of Trumpets wasn't for the rapture, it's for the second coming. It's for the Jews, right? And it will be fulfilled at that time, and then those last three feast days will be fulfilled in order, just like the first 4 were fulfilled by Jesus the first time, right? And so I know that that's when it starts. Whatever year that it's going to take place, the peace deal will be signed in the fall around Feast of Trumpets, and it'll finish up 7 years later, and those will be fulfilled. Feast of Trumpets, Feast of Atonement, and Feast of Tabernacles, right? But as for the rapture, I've believed for quite a long time that, and especially after I was showing, that it would be sometime in spring or early summer, and then there would be a period of time after people had disappeared, a few months, where there's going to be war and other things like that, that they will use to bring about a worldwide peace deal where the Antichrist will come in, make this deal within this process on these multiple fronts. And during these war times, multiple things could be happening. The Gog and Magog attack could take place, and all of it. And even though the Bible is specifically speaking on that in Ezekiel 38 and 39, right? It taking place can also be happening during the same time there's a worldwide conflict, and I kind of believe that's what's going to happen. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about though with the Ascension Day is it falls into something that I've looked at as a possibility around Pentecost, or Pentecost maybe it being when it happens, especially since Feast of Trumpets is out the window. That's not when the rapture happens. That's when the second coming, that'll happen during and be fulfilled during the second coming. So people that are still talking about it, that's fine that they're looking at it, they're recognizing stuff like that, but just to let you know, that's not when it happens. So I'm still on the spring, early summer board. So last year, Ascension Day pops up, and I'm like, that is so interesting. And I just kind of kept it to myself. And I was like, what if, after looking at it and knowing that it happens in the spring and it's right before Pentecost and stuff, right? Or around the same time, I mean. I'm like, what if that has something to do with it? Wouldn't that be interesting? Actually, we go up the same, commemorating the same day that Jesus went up, and we go up just like him, right? Like the Bible says, just like you saw him go, he'll come back when you see him again. So I started looking at it and the different days that it falls on, and when it's on its calendar, right? Which doesn't follow our Gregorian calendar, so it can be a different day each year. And I looked on when it happened in 2014, right? I wanted to see where it was around the time when I had my Rapture vision, which was at the end of May, right? Which I believe was like May 29th on a Thursday. I remember I woke up, I was so jacked. I was like, bro, talking to him, and I told him everything, and I had to go to work, and I was just lit for a couple weeks. I still had that joy. So all I had to do was think about it. I didn't have to think about it at first. I mean, it was just permeating. But then it started to wear off, just like people you hear about that go to heaven and stuff like that. They have knowledge and joy and things like that, and over time, as we're back down here, it starts to disintegrate away until it's gone, right? And that was the same thing. And that was the last sign that he showed me after he talked to me a month prior, before I got sent out on my crusade, right? This has been going on for years, for 10 years. So I looked, and it was on that year. Of course, I never knew anything about it until just last year. I never even thought about it. I realized that when Ascension Day happened, it was on the same date that I had my Rapture vision. That same morning when I was showing the Rapture and I went up in it. It was on Ascension Day. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So, secretly, without sharing it with anybody else or anything, maybe just my mom, like a few friends that are close, I've kind of held on to it like, wouldn't that be interesting? And of course, you know what I've already done. I've checked every single date of Ascension from here for the next several years, right, on what days it falls on. So I looked on when it would fall again on the 29th, which would be the same day that I had it, what was showing back in 2014. And that's next year in 2025. So I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, wow, that's really wild. But there's a chance that, what if we did go up on that same day? And it's the same day that I had the vision, but it's in 2025, right? So it's maybe kind of overlooked this year as a possibility. Of course, a lot of people don't want to hear anything like that, right? So a couple weeks ago, I don't know why I was looking at it, but I started looking at it again. And what I found out was that not only did it happen on the same day that God gave me that vision, but I started looking how the way it jumps around, it's awfully close to when he spoke to me, which I've shared with you guys, and you remember what happened in 2021 when he told me it was most definitely this year, right? So I was like, what day was it on when it happened, when God spoke to me that morning, right? On May 13th? It was May 13th. When he spoke to me and told me about the Rapture, it was May 13th, and it was Ascension Day again. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, what are the chances of this? And are you pointing something out here that's really interesting? To throw a little bit more in there while I'm driving right now before I make this video. I'm driving down the road, I'm thinking about it. It's exactly 7 years to the day from when I was showing and taken up in the Rapture in that vision to when he talked to me that morning and said that he was coming back, gave me the heart rock and everything like that. All right, it's exactly 7 years to the day from Ascension Day to Ascension Day that he did that, and I had no idea. And of course, when I told you guys this back in 2021, this would have been very incredible information to let everybody know, but I didn't even know until I just started looking and seeing Ascension Day last year, kind of keeping it to myself, and then a couple weeks ago that I realized that it all happened on the same day. I don't think it's a coincidence, and I find it extremely fascinating. You guys know what happened to the rest of that, and I've talked about it several times if you don't know. That night I got tested, all right? For anybody who doubts, like I can't apologize for it because I did exactly what I was told to do, and and it's what he shared with me that that day. Did it leave me confused for a long time? Yeah, for sure. And it's still not fully understood exactly why, but he has his purpose and reasons for everything. And he did talk to me that morning, and it was, and I mean, what I'm about to tell you, I mean, it's all the proofs that you get. So that night before, somebody had put money in my PayPal account. I think it was $200 or $400, something like that. I think it was $200 or whatever else. At the time, I'm homeless, I'm on the beach, I'm broke, and I'm in a really bad spot, right? And somebody puts money in my account and gives it to me. I don't even know how they did that. I never gave my account information or anything like that, but it was in there. And I'm looking, I'm like, what the heck? And which would be great, because I needed the money worse than ever. However, I knew why they gave it to me, and it was for preaching. It's for talking about God right on the YouTube channel, and somehow they were able to give me that money. So like a hot potato, I got rid of it as fast as possible, and I gave it to my friend that was in a bad situation too and needed the help, right? So I just gave it away that very night. Little did I know that I was being tested, because I had straight up said from the very beginning, if I don't charge, I never will. The gift of God is free, so whenever I talk about him, especially I'm like sharing things about him that he gives me, I'll always do it for free, right? And that night I was being tested, because if it was for help or anything else from a stranger, that's one thing. But because I knew that they watch my channel, and it's because I'm talking about God, and that they gave me that money, I can't take it. So I got rid of it, right? So that night, I have a rough night, because YouTube had deleted the video that I just worked on the other day, and I was so upset. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm out here, I have no home, I'm broke, I'm still trying to help people out here, and YouTube's taking out my videos, right? I was pissed. And then the next morning, on May 13th, was when God showed up. And he talked to me that morning, and it was crystal clear. And we talked for about an hour or so on multiple topics, all right? And I've shared a lot of it, and I talked to him about the whole sinning thing. He was so incredibly awesome about it. Anybody who's ever heard stories of talking to Jesus and how he's not coming down, but like he was like a friend, like a personal trainer coach that had been through something, and he was saying this will help you with that. And he was so cool about the whole thing. And I listened to him, you know, but I believed so much of what he said that there was no reason for me to try to get a house or anything that year. I believed it all the way, and I stayed out in the snow all the way up till December 20th, out in the cold and everything else. I never even tried to get a house. I truly believed that he was coming back that year, like he had told me, right? But we talked about everything, and since that time, I mean, I've definitely brought it up, prayed about it so many times, right? And to make things even more interesting, he has referred me back to a couple of the conversation that we talked about as reminders, not only encouragement, but like direction and stuff like that he gave me that morning. It was most definitely him. And I did not know what year that he was speaking about at first, so it was kind of hanging on, right? First I was like, well, maybe it's a Jewish year coming up in the fall. Then it wasn't that. Maybe the Gregorian calendar up to the New Year. No, maybe just a year back to one of the other years starts when Passover, when the Jews start their, no, maybe a complete year to that point. So I keep pushing and pushing, waiting, seeing what year he's talking about. I get back up to that year, and somebody writes me and says, you realize that he talked to you on Sivan 2nd. And I was like, what? No, what's that? So I look it up, and of course that's the same day that commemorates when Moses is about to go up to Mount Sinai, and he tells the Jews to prepare themselves to be kings and saints, because 3 days later he's going to show up, right? And he goes up there, and it's the same day. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So there's another thing. So I'm like, well, maybe it's going to mark this year, right? So that wasn't going to be until June. So I waited again, you know, and then in the process, I find out that my little brother, who was also told about the same thing 32 days later, and he was also given a sign to that arrowhead, right? I found out that was on the same day that Joshua prayed and God held the sun back so they could win the battle, right? For a whole day. He stops the time. And of course, within those 2 days are also their own story. Prepare yourself to be kings and saints. I'm showing up in 3 days, and then boom, I'm also going to stop time and hold it back a little bit further, right? Which is exactly what happened. So it's almost like it's word upon word. There's a story within a story then. But then to come to find out that not only was it on Sivan's second, but that year, it just also happened to fall on Ascension Day too, and it spread exactly 7 years to the day from when he gave me the Rapture vision. Of course, I had no idea about any of this. It's crazy. I only discovered it just like a week or so ago, and I'm like, that is amazing. You got to be kidding me. And it's just like God too, because I've talked about it so many times. When he says something, all the different things that he shared with me, it's like a wellspring. Information is still coming out about it, right? And you never know when it's going to pop or it's going to be used. When he talked to me in 2018 in March, I shot the laser out of heaven back to the back right head of my side of my head. I go multi-dimension, see the whole thing, and he tells me he folded out time from the middle, right? Time flows both directions from him. And after I learned that, and I've listened to scientists say that they think time's flowing both ways now, and all these other things that have happened, it also ended up showing me in 2021 that the story of them finding the Hall of Records starts off with that, and the very guy who's telling the story and talking about it learns about if you're speaking in spirit or whatever to somebody, it looks like a white laser, and that only solidified the truth of that story, which ended up tying up the Sphinx in Alaska that I knew about from when I was in the military, and the Hall of Records and all the other places where we in the military have been around the world, like trying to get into ancient sites that have been locked up, right? They all got unlocked back in 2003 when this happened. And that only helped solidify that story, which might have not been believable because it's so extreme and crazy if it hadn't been for God shooting that white laser and letting me know that it's legit. If there's one person on the planet that does know it's legit, it would be me, because I've seen it happen. It happened to me, right? So anyways, just the many ways that God works, and like I say, a wellspring, it just never stops. Once he taps that hole, you never know when it's going to shoot out. It's wild. But anyways, I wanted to share that because I thought it was cool. Will that be the day the rapture happens on? I have no idea. But it does seem kind of significant, and it kind of tells its own story in that the very day that Jesus ascended was the same day that he gave me the rapture vision and told me 7 years later to the day that he's coming back for the rapture, right? And I find it interesting, and I would not be surprised if scientists say, oh, we've got our calendar screwed up, it's actually 2021. I mean, I won't be surprised. One way or another, the reason he did all that, it's for a reason. But I do know that it has all the call signs of him speaking. I've never been attacked that hard in my entire life. From the moment he did that and that conversation got over, all living hell broke loose. I've never been attacked so hard by the forces of darkness in my life. That whole year too is absolutely terrible. I mean, they came from every single direction. One of these guys on YouTube that teaches the once saved, always saved, like a used car salesman. The guy's just a piece of crap, and he's got a following of like 5,000 or 6,000. I'm not sure, and they're all in on it. And they go out and sin, feel so guilty, and they come back to him, and he teaches Ephesians, the same verses, over and over again for every episode, right? So they can feel not guilty, and they're wondering why they feel guilty. Anyways, somehow he saw the video, told his whole congregation to come over, and I was getting attacks. I mean, all like 5,000 or 6,000 on every single one. They didn't miss a turn. They're once saved, always saved. They're waiting for the rapture. I'm talking about the rapture, and they're bringing the hate like you wouldn't believe. The question is why, right? Why would they even be doing that? I know they're all working for the forces of darkness. And I mean, it was like every second for days and days. Trying to write my little brother, trying to text him, I'd get 3 messages. You're worthless, you're a false prophet, you're a lying piece of crap. I'm like, good grief. Swipe. I've had to delete over the years, having this channel. I've got like 13,000 subscribers right now. I've probably deleted like twice as many as that and blocked him from the channel. It's unbelievable how many people have come against when I'm talking. It's unbelievable. But it was from there. Then it was, I lose my older brother forever. And because, I mean, it was just one thing after another, after another, after another. It got sent. And I'm carrying this load at the time. I'm like, good grief. Feels like I was carrying the Ark of the Covenant by myself. And then I told my little brother right when it happened, I'm like, dude, pray, maybe God will give you a sign. And then he did. He prayed like for that arrowhead, right? It had the broken piece and it'd be red. And then that night he's driving back 32 days later. And God tells him, what you're looking for is over there. He lives up on the mountain, so it's over in a field across the road. He goes to the house, and he's about to go to sleep. It's 10 minutes before bed. And he's like, okay, God, if you really said that, then I'll walk right over and find it. So he puts on his flops, goes out across the horse pasture, across the freeway road, out into the other big field or whatever that's on the other side, and starts walking out there. Goes down through this, like, kind of draw through where the sagebrush is, and he's walking for 10 minutes, doesn't see anything. He's like, well, so much, I was just hearing things. Looks over to his left, looks like something's glowing. He's like, what's that? Reaches down, the glowing stops. It's a red arrowhead with the piece of it broken off, just like he had asked for, where God told him when he was coming up earlier that night, right? He starts jumping up and down, freaking out. Oh my gosh, which is like the same thing that I was doing, right? And of course, to share it wasn't that easy, you know, because I was like, I can't believe you told me this. Are you really coming back this year? I'm like, this is crazy, you know? And so I prayed about it more and more and more. And he wanted me to share it. And I'm coming back that morning, and I had the radio, or not the radio on, but YouTube on, it was playing. And I was talking to God, and right in the middle of the prayer, I'm like, God, I need a sign. If you really want me to do this, I'm going to have to know for sure. I mean, you already gave me the confirmation with the heart rock and everything else. And then I also said, if you're really talking to me right now, or you got me down here, send somebody down. He sent somebody down instantly, and I start talking to him about God. I mean, it was just one thing after another. So I'm in the middle of a conversation praying, and I'm like, God, I just need a sign. It's the first time I listened to Fig Tree Ministry, and he's talking about something else. I'm not paying any attention to it, and all of a sudden, right when I'm saying, okay, God, I need a sign. I need it right now. Right when I say that, he starts going off in the background, unleash the unleashing, unleash the unleashing, like 100 times in a row. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm like, no, that's crazy. I'm like, okay, that was really good, but I'm like, I need one. I need another. I'm like, I'm about to read the Bible. I do every morning. I haven't had a chance to. I mean, I think I'm in Ezekiel right now, God, but, I'm about to read this next chapter. I don't know what it is. And if maybe you could talk to me in there and point something out. And it was Ezekiel 12, of course. And I flipped the page, and it's like, and God literally says, the things that I've said I was going to do before that got postponed, I'm going to do it right now. And then it goes down a little bit further. I repeat, tell them that are denying it, the things I said I was going to do before that I haven't, I'm doing right now. I'm like, okay. And then I make the video, and then I'm still hesitant about it. And finally I get into a little argument, and I get kind of the stern talking to him, that he gave me that channel for a reason, and he expects me to do it. So I'm like, okay, click, and I sent it out, and from that point on, it was all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose, and it's never stopped. And obviously I can't apologize. I mean, this is exactly what happened. I can't apologize for one thing, though. I said back in 2019 that God already has it planned when he's coming back, and him postponing it, and I was pissed, right? I heard that cat care witch that people listen to, the pink hair witch that's posing as a Christian, say that, roll up your prayer rugs. God's not coming back. It's going to be a long time off now. And he's postponed it or whatever. And I said, what? And I freaked out. And I made a video back then, and I said, God's not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I can apologize for that, because I said that, right? And the truth is, God can do whatever he wants. And considering what I've learned now, and us being live data, basically, that he's constantly watching for just that right time, if he decides to move that back because there's a better time, it definitely fulfills and falls into the scripture of watching, because you don't know what hour he's going to show up in, if he's going to come in the third or the fourth watch, right? We're in that window of time for sure, but he can fluctuate that and come whenever he wants. So I can apologize for that. But for him talking to me that morning, I can't, because that actually happened, just like I said. And like I say, there's no reason for me to ever lie about anything. That'd be absolutely ridiculous. Everything that I've ever said and told you about, it's all true. It's all real. This stuff's really happening. I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot by making something up. I'm on a quest to be the greatest. That would only screw my chances of that up. So, I mean, I'd rather not say anything and be completely boring than ever say something that would be a lie. There's no reason for me to be like sensational in that part. So anyways, no, it's totally real. But to find out a couple years later that also happened on Ascension Day, and it was exactly 7, and I had no idea at the time. I didn't know that morning when he told me that it was exactly 7 years to the day, because I'm looking at it from the Gregorian calendar, right? And it fluctuates each year from the Jewish side. So I'm like, holy mackerel. So while I'm looking at it for next year, right, in 2025, so this is like the encouraging part after you listen to me ramble, I've been looking at it for possibly being on the same day next year in 2025, right? Well, the truth is, it could be this one on May 9th this year, because it doesn't matter what year it is. If he does come on Ascension Day, that is the same day that he told me, and it's also the same day that I had the Rapture vision. It's the same day on a Jewish calendar, and I never even thought about that. So that's promising. So maybe it is this year. That would be truly great. Anyways, just a little short story. I feel like I needed to say it. It's too interesting, and it's just more unfolding that I felt like I shouldn't hold on to that at all. I should probably share it. So in between this and the video I was going to post, I decided to talk about this. But anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys. What I told you that morning back then in 2021, it really did happen. I think he really did postpone it. I don't think that I was supposed to know either. I think that was all part of the plan, maybe a humbling experience, or just part of the trials that he has some of us that he's chosen to go through. All right. So for whatever reason it was, I went through it, and it was a beat down and a half for sure. But at the same time, he hasn't stopped using it, because now it's, like I say, it's unfolded that he actually told me that on Ascension Day, which is the same day that he commemorates him going up. It's like 40 days or whatever after Passover. So anyways, just wanted to share that with you guys. I find it interesting, and I'm going to find it even more interesting if it's actually the same day that he uses to take us off this planet. So we'll find out. But it's just very interesting, and how it all unfolded and stuff like that. And like I say, with the way that he shares things, and it's like tapping a wellspring, that might not even be the end. I might find out that out of a certain historical event, it also falls on another certain day. So, I mean, I just don't know. It just seems to keep unfolding. But it's very interesting. Anyways, God bless. Catch you next time on The Illusion. Just thought I'd share that with you guys. All right, take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.